Yo, what's good, everybody? This is Dylan Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what we'll be doing is I'm a Cleveland sports fan, and we have some breaking news coming around the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, he is back in the news again. This is the worst thing ever. It feels like every single time we think the drama and the news around Deshaun Watson has started to kind of de-escalate, go down, kind of go away, it's just like another thing pops up. He's being accused of another sexual assault case back from 2020 whenever he had, I believe, like 28, 29 sexual assault cases. He got every single one except for one knockdown. Right now, there is another new one being addressed that everybody's kind of talking about right now, and Deshaun Watson, like I said, is back in the news for it. With this happening at the same exact time as Deshaun Watson just had his first game of the NFL season with the Cleveland Browns for the third year of his contract, everybody started talking about the way how he sucked in that game. Oh, Deshaun Watson is horrible. He also now has these allegations. Can the Browns fucking just get out of this contract and just get rid of him? When you look at it in a small picture, you would say no, because it's a fully guaranteed contract. No matter what, Deshaun Watson is getting that money. But when you look at it at a big picture and kind of summarize it, short answer, yes, they can get out of this contract, but it's a little bit tricky. There's a lot we need to get into. We're going to start off with Deshaun Watson and the allegations that have been kind of brought up against him. We would then kind of lead into why this might be a good move if the Browns could possibly get out of this contract and kind of how they could get out of this contract. And then number three, it pains me to say this, but we're going to kind of discuss, did we do Baker Mayfield wrong by getting rid of him? When in reality, when you look at Baker Mayfield versus Deshaun Watson in the 3 years since Baker Mayfield left and we've been with Deshaun Watson, we probably could have used Baker Mayfield. And also a little bit of a teaser in there. We're going to talk about the draft next year, because Browns, if we stink this year, could we go after a draft pick? Could we go after and draft a quarterback next year? Quinn Ewers, Shador Sanders? Maybe there's some options. Now, before I go any further, I'm gonna let you guys know there's a whole bunch of articles, tweets, links, stuff like that. I'll have them all linked down in the description below, underneath where it says info, so if you want to go check it out for yourself for free. But I'm gonna go and get straight into this. If you're going to enjoy it, as always, make sure you're going to drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, like I said with Deshaun Watson, like I said, he's being sued for these sexual assault cases. It says here on Monday, this is going back from September 9th. On Monday, Watson was sued in Houston for sexual assault and battery and an intentional infliction of emotional distress. It says here the accusations are strikingly similar to those made against Watson, like I said, in more than 20 lawsuits filed in 2021. However, the plaintiff in the new case, who filed under Jane Doe, contends that she went on a date with Watson. Most of it, not all other cases, arose from paid massages that Watson had arranged. Now, I'm not going to go into full details, but as you can see, I'll kind of scroll through it. You can kind of read it, pause it, like I said, and also go to the link. But there's a lot of like graphic stuff that I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to read it. I've already read it myself. It's a little bit graphic, a lot of different stuff that I don't want to really talk about on here. One thing we can all agree on is if this stuff is true, Deshaun Watson deserves a rotten hell. Now, one thing that kind of comes out of this as a Cleveland sports fan, because obviously this is more than just football, but when we look at the football side of things, I saw this post here kind of talking about it, but they do say one thing here from this Instagram page. They say, should Watson receive any suspension from the league, the Browns could void the remainder of his contract and move on without any salary cap penalty. And it also says here from this post here on a tweet from Twitter or X, it says here that Cleveland, like I said, had already effectively paid Watson $46 million guaranteed salary for the 2024 season. That was whenever they restructured his contract. They've already paid him for the 2024 season. The 2025 and 2026 season have not been paid. Those years are giant cap years at the current moment. It says here the potential void if they do suspend Watson and they can void those years, it would void the 2025 and 2026 contract years of his salary. So the Browns could basically get out of the contract. All these years they've been kind of restructuring, not taking huge cap hits. These last 2 years, if he were to get suspended or the commissioner were to come down on him and put him on the exempt list, any of these things happen, the Browns basically have a scapegoat to avoid paying or avoid having these huge cap hits. But just as we thought that was going to happen, then this tweet came out from Tom Pelissero, and it says here, quote, the NFL doesn't plan to place Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson on the commissioner's exempt list in light of a new civil lawsuit stemming from a 2020 allegation. Since there have been no criminal charges in the league's review has just begun. It says here from the NFL PR guy, quote, we are reviewing the complaint and we will look into the matter under the personal conduct policy, quote. So basically what they are saying is the fact that there have been no official criminal charges pressed against Deshaun Watson, they are not going to go into this and put him on the exempt list. If he had criminal charges against him, they put him on the exempt list probably right now is what they're saying. But with the fact that it's just a lawsuit and there have not been like Deshaun Watson, you were under arrest for this or that, or they're not pressing any charges, taking him to trial. They're not going to put him on the exempt list right now. Plus, also, like they said at the very beginning, they've just begun their investigation. Now, when it comes to the world of, like I said, getting out of this contract or just not paying him those giant cap numbers, giant money for these next 2 years of his contract, it says here from CBS Sports, if cutting or trading Watson isn't realistic, then where can the Browns find solace? It says here, quote, the quarterback is reportedly facing a new lawsuit alleging a 2020 sexual assault, and it's possible if Watson did not disclose this allegation or incident to the Browns upon signing his contract that Cleveland could seek to terminate the guarantee portion of the deal, effectively escaping the remainder of the agreement. So long story short, kind of what they're saying, if Deshaun Watson, when he signed with the Browns and he was coming to the Browns, he was kind of talking with the GM, Andrew Berry, the coach, Kevin Stefanski, the owner, Jimmy and D. Haslam. He was talking to them. He probably disclosed some stuff because they had to know, did you do this? Did you not do this? We need to know this shit up front before we go and sign you, and we have your back through all this. And if he truly did this stuff and they decide to take him on, number one, shame on the Haslams, shame on the team for doing this, because it almost feels bad. I feel grimy and just nasty cheering for this man if he's actually done all this stuff. But number two, the big thing I think that comes out of this is if they knew about this stuff, if the Browns were told by Deshaun Watson, they can't get out of it. If Deshaun Watson told them about everything, and I mean he laid out every single detail, they knew about what kind of man he was in this John Doe or Jane Doe incident, then they can't get out of it because they knew about this, they took him on, and they roll with it. But if they did not know about this and he did not disclose this information, they can basically go back in the contract, and I guess it's like a fine print. It says it somewhere in here. I saw it on CBS Sports article. I forget where it was, but it basically said if they did not know, he did not disclose the information, and they had no clue about this stuff happening, and he did not disclose it with them, they have an out. I do want to take a second real quick and kind of look back because I saw this post, and it was kind of talking about, man, how Cleveland has kind of sucked right now, but Baker Mayfield, when he was the quarterback and then he left, how he's been doing since he left. You can kind of see the stats right here. I'll pull it up so you can kind of see it bigger. Since Deshaun Watson became the quarterback of the Browns, and Baker Mayfield has left, gone to the Panthers, the Rams, and now he's with the Buccaneers. In that time, Deshaun Watson has played only in 13 games in his entire time in the NFL with the Browns, whereas Baker Mayfield has played in 30 games. When you look at their stats, Baker has thrown a total of 44 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. Deshaun Watson, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So he's played in 17 less games than Baker Mayfield, and he has more than half of the interceptions that Baker Mayfield's thrown. He's got a lower completion percentage, he's got a lower passer rating. Baker's been to the playoffs. Deshaun Watson has not got us there. You know who got us to the playoffs last year? Because you're going to be like, well, he was on the team with us when we got to the playoffs last year. He didn't get us to the playoffs. Joe Flacco took us to the playoffs. Deshaun Watson, there's something wrong with you, bud. It's like there's something wrong with Deshaun Watson. Every single year, we've tried to dumb down the offense, make it easy. It looked good at first. Then it's like all of a sudden we think, man, with this offense, how good it is. If we can just take a great playmaker like Deshaun Watson, plug him in here, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. And then it's like everything kind of started to struggle a little bit. Everything was weird. Then he gets hurt. Then we bring in Joe Flacco, like I said, and he just takes this dumbed down offense and he just operates it at a high level. And look what happens. We're winning ball games. We go to the playoffs. This offseason, we change the offense up. We make it Deshaun Watson's offense. Read options, quick reads, fast moving stuff, complicated play calls. Weird play calls, I would say, because of the way the first game went. It was very weird offense, not the kind of offense that we're used to seeing happen on the field. Deshaun Watson did not run it the way we imagined it was going to run. We thought this was going to be like a very high scoring offense, play action, or just like downfield shots, big time throws, going to your receivers. That offense that I watched was not good. Now let's live in the world where, like I said, the Browns, maybe they've had this plan cooking up for a while. They knew we are going to try Deshaun Watson out for a few years. If it doesn't work, we're going to take this, we're going to restructure. They maybe knew about this stuff, but can they do something to where, like, I don't know, they had no clue. Oh, we didn't know about this stuff. Oh, we're going to avoid these last 2 years. Deshaun Watson, goodbye, get out of our team. If they did something like that, and let's just say this year Deshaun Watson's with the team, they suck, they go horrible, they go 5-12, 6-11, it's going to suck to watch, but I can get through it if it means by next season we can go and get a quarterback out of the draft. So let's just live in the world, like I said, that we stink this year, 5-12, 6-11. We get a top 10 draft pick, top 12, let's say, and we obviously know we're probably not going to get Carson Beck because he looks like he's probably going to go number 1 overall. Let's scroll down the list. What are the quarterbacks that are kind of being projected up there in the draft? Quinn Ewers is available, and Shedeur Sanders is also the other quarterback that everybody's kind of talked about. I think right now, set in stone, it's going to be Carson Beck and Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, if the Raiders stink, Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Raider. I think that's set in stone. He's going to be a Raider. Quinn Ewers, they're saying right now, mocked to the Saints. I don't see that happening. I think Derek Carr is going to have a good year with the Saints. And if he does, the Saints are not going to get Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers, if anything, when I look at these teams that are going to be projected up in the draft, you kind of scroll down, and the one interesting thing you look at, where are the Browns? Oh, that's right. We have a draft pick because the Deshaun Watson trade's done. Scroll back down this list and let's see if any of these teams actually need a quarterback or would draft a quarterback that we could possibly, sneak in there and get. The Chargers have Justin Herbert. Fuck no. Trevor Lawrence just signed with the Jaguars for that giant contract. Fuck no. The Steelers? Maybe, but I would think they're probably going to try to go Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, so we'll see how that goes. Seahawks, no, they got Geno Smith. Colts, they got Anthony Richardson. Like I said with the Buccaneers, they got Baker Mayfield. Vikings, J.J. McCarthy will be back next year. Cardinals got Kyler Murray. Shador Sanders, like I said, with the Raiders. If the Saints were not a guy or team they're going to be taking him, and like I said, with the Browns, if we can get a top 10 draft pick by just stinking it up this year, 5-12, 6-11, we easily are going to get a top 10 draft pick. And Quinn Ewers, my God, if we can get him on this team with the offense that we have, oh my God. Now you might be saying we're going to be doing this all over again with the Texas boy. Even though last time with Baker Mayfield, he was in Oklahoma. He was a Texas boy. He's a fiery guy. He's a playmaker. He's got that image. He just wants to yell and scream and everything like that. It's the same dude in perspective, but I think Quinn Ewers is a better football player than what Baker Mayfield was coming out of college. Those might be fighting words. That might be a hot take, but I think Quinn Ewers, as a college player, is better coming out of college than Baker Mayfield was. Even though Baker did win a Heisman, Quinn Ewers is the favorite for the Heisman this year, so we'll see. But last few things before I wrap it up, I kind of want to say this. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, like I said, last things, if he did what he did, rotten hell, motherfucker. When it comes to Baker Mayfield, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I still have your jersey in my closet, Baker. I have your jersey in my closet. I still love you if you want to come back. When it comes to the Browns organization, Andrew Berry, we've always said, let Andrew Berry cook. Let Berry cook, and Berry we trust. I'm trusting you. I hope to God you have a plan for the season. Either one or two things is going to happen. One, I find to be a big-ass miracle if it did happen. Second thing, it's going to be a disaster fire, but it has a good future involved. Number one, Deshaun Watson in this offense turns it around, and they get things clicking, and they go out there and start winning some ball games this year. Option number two, everything becomes to be true of what happened with Deshaun Watson, these allegations. They go in, they void these years of these contracts, they kick him to the curb, they go out there and draft a quarterback for next year in the draft, and whether it's Quinn Ewers or whether they get Shador Sanders or somebody else, or they go to free agency, get a quarterback out of the free agency. Sam Darnold looks pretty good with the Vikings. Could we go get him? I feel like the offense could operate if we just had a dumb quarterback. It just seems like with recent years with Kevin Stefanski, he does better with dumb quarterbacks. How do I think the Browns are going to make the right decision in the long run? I hope to God they will. All I'm going to say is this. I'm still rooting for the Browns. At this point, I just don't know if I'm rooting for Deshaun Watson anymore. I kind of wish we had Baker Mayfield still. But other than that, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did go and enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy it, as always, make sure you go and drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. If you wanted to watch the entirety of today's video, thank you very much. And like I said, if you have a different opinion, do you agree, disagree with anything I said? Do you think that Deshaun Watson needs to go? Do you think Deshaun Watson's still the guy? Do you think Deshaun Watson did what they're saying he did not do what they're saying he did? Whatever your opinion may be, go ahead and leave your complete opinion down in the comment section down below. I'd be more than welcome to kind of talk about with you guys. If you're a fan of the content that I do poster and you want to go and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And do not forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified second I post. But without further ado, this has been Dylan Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.